right, hey folks, I think we're up and running. Let me check my signal here to make sure that I'm coming through. We're gonna do our social media postings really quick, and then we're gonna start working on Strixhaven Mage Tower as a PvP sport that people can participate in. So I'm looking to see if I'm live, and there it is. Finally, the link came through, and then finally checking volume. The link came through, and then checking volume. Sounds like it's good. All right, cool. So let's drop that down so it doesn't get in the way. I'm going to grab the link here so we can do some fast social media updates. If you're checking this out after we've live streamed, you can skip ahead like a minute. And then after the bump, we'll actually get started in game design. But for those that are catching me here in the intro, chugga. Hold on. Still figuring stuff out. Copy link here, hit post. There we go. Grab that there, and then we can go here. Okay, there it is. So let me just do my intro here. Hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games. I illustrate them. I publish them online. And I primarily create content for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. I publish on the DMsGuild. I've been a DM since 1987. I've been a Magic the Gathering enthusiast since 1994. I've been a freelance illustrator since 1999, and I started publishing content for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition in 2018. The first book that I published was the Color Mana Spell Point variant rules. That was inspired by the Magic the Gathering settings, Ravnica, Theros, Strixhaven. But when they translated D&D, when they translated the NTG settings into D&D, they retained the Vancian magic and 8 schools of magic that is common to D&D without any consideration towards the color magic or mana system that made MTG so iconic. So I want to reintroduce that into the game. I wanted to bring that into D&D since that was against the design ideals of Wizards. So I published a bunch of books for that, and now that we have 2024 rules, I'm updating the mechanics to be compliant with 2024. And while we're at it, we've been using them in games at our table for the past 7 years. So we found a lot of ways to improve the system, and with the new 2024 rules release, it's a great opportunity for us to basically just glam up all those books. So let me go ahead and close out my intro by saying, if you think this type of stuff is cool, I'm here 9 times per week in the mornings, afternoons, evenings. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notification when we're live in the future. Appreciate all the new supporters that have jumped online in the past week. Thanks a lot, guys. We have the Martial Powers and Color Mana playtest document, which is a Google Doc. It's read-only, so once the book is published, you'll see it. Here's a bunch of other books that I publish on the DMsGuild. They all have extensive free previews that you're welcome to check out. If you think they're cool or could add value to your game, consider picking some up. Meanwhile, the playtest document is here, which has all the mechanics for converting martial characters into a mana half-casting resource using the Martial Power system, which is inspired by Tome of Battle and 4th edition martial classes, basically progressing disciplines as a half-casting progression, 1, 5, 9, 13, 17, from 1 to 5, similar to Paladins, Rangers, Artificers, gaining spells from level 1 to 5 at 1, 5, 9, 13, 17. And then further down in the document is the 2024 updated versions for all the full casting classes. So we have the Artificer in here, the Warlock is in here, but we also have like the Bard, Cleric, Druid. We also now have the Scion converted into the spell point system, as well as a Sorcerer and Wizard, and every single subclass that has ever been published by Wizards has been updated to 2024 mechanics utilizing the mana system that we've created here that's published on DMsGuild. So we'll be able to, we're playtesting this on my Discord server, which is linked down below. If you're interested in participating, you're most welcome to. But one of the things that we wanted to do, one of the things that inspired the Martial Powers project in the first place, was that in the Strixhaven setting that Wizards published, it's basically it's like the MTG version of Harry Potter, right? You've got Strixhaven Academy, which is described as casters or planeswalkers going to and becoming and learning how to use their magic. In the D&D Vancian system, that basically means half casters and full casters can take classes on spell casting. But once we introduce the Martial Power system, where all 14 character classes use mana as a resource to either cast spells or channel powers and fuel class and subclass abilities, Strixhaven can expand from not just being a casting school where you learn how to cast spells. It instead becomes a school that teaches you how to manipulate or improve, like how to strengthen and manipulate your mana that's flowing through you. Whether you're into white, blue, black, red, or green mana, the Strixhaven colleges each have schools that are attuned or devoted to the like Prismari is devoted to blue and red, Silver Quill is devoted to white and black, Quandrix is devoted to blue and green, Witherbloom is devoted to green and black, Lorehold is devoted to white and red. So each school, the 5 colors is represented by 2 schools, 2 colleges each. And so between the 5 colleges, all 5 colors are present twice. So, rearranging my seat here. There. So if you're playing a Ravnica Orzhov character and your campaign has you going to Strixhaven, you can be presenting yourself as an Orzhov character that would naturally align with Silver Quill, which is also white-black, but you may visit Lorehold to learn more about white, and you may visit Witherbloom to learn more about black beyond just how Orzhov white-black combination Silver Quill would utilize it. So you have the college that goes with the core colors, and then there's tangents, the 2 each color has 2 allied colleges as well. So 5 colleges inside of Strixhaven. All 14 character classes now wielding mana have a reason to be in each school, but you have to divide between basically the scholars and the jocks. You have the casters and the marshals. Full casters are all spell casting. Marshals are all wielding channeling power, and then the paladin, the artificer, the ranger, as well as the warlock can use both spell casting and power, so you can blend between the two however much of either one that you want. So those 4 classes can be really gishy. So hey, what's going on? So Strixhaven has this sport called Mage Tower, and if you have Strixhaven Curriculum in Chaos, the way that they have you resolve, the way that they describe it is that Mage Tower, it's in 3 periods like hockey, each lasting 20 minutes. So it's a full hour for a match. And during that time, in each of the 3 periods, you basically each character that's participating in the match versus their opponents. Like if you have a 3v3 match, you've got 3 characters and then you got 3 NPCs. And the characters each make an ability check, like a strength check, dexterity check, whatever. Some sort of an ability check that represents how they perform in the sport. And then you add up the results, and then you oppose that die roll with the enemy team, and they add up their results, and whoever has the higher number ends up winning the match or winning that period. And so the way that the rules are technically written is you have 20-minute periods, and whoever accumulates the most points across the full hour of game ends up being the winner. If we're going to, we want to take it out of being an ability check system and make it an actual combat scenario PvP style of game, so that characters can create athletes that could be any of the 14 classes at a chosen level, you basically build an athlete character that specializes or is preparing all of your powers and spells and abilities to perform in the sport as an athlete, to score points and to prevent the enemy team from scoring points instead of killing things or necessarily being stealthy or whatever. We're going to work on defining the rules of how to make this a PvP scenario so that we could resolve a full match in combat at the table, like say within an hour. So it'd be an hour-long combat with 3 periods. So each period would also be 20 minutes, but it's not going to be real time because 20 minutes in D&D is 200 rounds of combat, and that's way too fucking long. So we want to reduce the amount of time that it takes to run the match. We want to reduce the size of the stadium because if we're looking at the artwork that they provide, this is a pretty big space. That's the arena that we see depicted here is 500 feet in scale. Like this arena is 500 feet, and that is 10 rounds of combat to run from one side to the next if all you do is run. And that's too slow. So we need to make more like a street tower sort of game, like a half court in basketball, right? It's friendly, or like street hockey. We've got 2 goals in the street and they're much less than 200 feet apart from each other. So we're going to need to scale it down, condense and reduce the rules, and make it so it's more low level friendly. Because the way that they depict it here is like they've got these 40-foot towers, and there is absolutely no obvious way to get to the. You're supposed to. The way that it's designed, the way that it's described, is that each team has a mascot at the top of the tower. Your goal is to take the mascot from your tower and put it on top of the tower of the opponent. And when you do, you score a point. And they don't really provide any rules beyond that. So there's no obvious way to climb the tower. Like even getting up to the like that's a 10-foot jump just to get here, and then like another 10 feet here, like 5 feet, 5 feet, 10 feet, 10. No, that's 15 feet to get to the top of the tower. Like, how are you supposed to do that if you don't have fly, teleport, or levitate spells? So it's really limiting. Like, they obviously didn't think this through, or from the Magic the Gathering set of Strixhaven, it was like, they're just wizards or whatever. They've got tons of magic power available to them, just let them do it. But we want to bring it down, to the street level, so that even kids that are still learning how to channel their mana can pick up a mascot and run with it and get it to the enemy tower. So, even if you're just stuck in mundane stuff of picking stuff up and just running rugby style to the other end of the field, we want to make that approachable and easy for people. So we're going to be bending the rules of how the game works, but we want to keep the basic tenets that there's a tower or a goal, and there's going to be 2 mascots. So each team will have a mascot. So you're going to try to prevent your team from getting their mascot on the tower while trying to get your mascot on the tower as well. So we're going to build out all the rules on how to do that. So, hey, what's going on? Quick question. Okay. What do you prefer? A Warlock Sorcerer, a Sorcerer Paladin, or a Paladin Warlock? Oh, boy. That's a great question. If we're using all the mana stuff that I've implemented, they're all really great options. The ability to stack meta magic on the Sorcerer is super cool, and then the Warlock stuff can just go into Gish combat build, like melee combat stuff or martial stuff. A Paladin Warlock is basically really, really diving into Gish. A Warlock Paladin. I don't know, man. If we're using raw, straight out of the book, I would say Sorcerer Paladin. Because the half caster of the Paladin synergizes best with the full caster of the Sorcerer. If we're using all the mana mechanics that I've presented, I would say I think Warlock Sorcerer would probably be my favorite. Yeah, that's what I would say. One or the other. It depends on which rules are you using, I guess. So yeah, we want to take the essence of what Mage Tower is suggesting and reduce it down to a size of a battle where we're not wasting rounds of combat just moving from one side of the field to the other. We want to bring everything in close so that there's a lot of combat action happening right away. So we're going to be building all this stuff out. We have a document that we've started for the Mage Tower playtest documents, which is here. It's super fresh. It's a brand new document that we just cracked open. So we're going to take the martial. Actually, I don't need martial powers out specifically on its own. I'm going to extract the Strixhaven document. We're going to extract the YouTube thing and drop it down here so it stays out of the way. We've got Strixhaven in a standalone window, and then we've got the martial powers stuff here, the playtest content here for martial powers. We've got the Strixhaven reference document here, Strixhaven Curriculum and Chaos. And then we have a duplicate of the Mage Tower PvP sport rules. So, sure, man. Absolutely. I mean, you know, whatever my opinion's worth. There's a lot of it depends on the style of play. I like Sorcerer the most because of the meta magic options that it has. I like whether this version or raw WotC versions. I just think Sorcerer is the coolest. Full caster. I like Warlock because it has the most flexibility as a Gish, both raw as well as the mechanics that we built. I don't think I would ever pick Paladin as my preferred class. Between those three, Sorcerer would be my first, Warlock would be my second, and Paladin would be my third. So logically, I would prefer Sorcerer Warlock blend beyond anything else. But they all have their merits. It just depends on what rules are you using and which edition and what your goals are in your game. So let's take this and we'll push that up there like that and here. So 2 to 5 players per team. It's if you have enough players to have equal teams on each side, then it's PvP, and the DM can literally just be a referee. If it's a lopsided team, then the DM can fill in with an NPC character to join the team that's light on players. Or if you have a small amount of players, then it could be the players team versus a complete PvE team that the DM would control. And the DM would also act as referee, which is typical for a D&D game. So, what's up? Paladins is really strong just for the charisma bonus saves. Yeah, they are. I disagree with that style. I think they should have. I think the saving throw bonus should progress with their spellcasting levels, like be basically the same as their proficiency bonus gained as a paladin. So like a 7th level paladin would have a +3 bonus. I don't think they should get a +5 bonus until their 17th level, because that saving throw bonus is outstacking the bounded accuracy system of DCs of 10 to 30. Adding a +5 at 7th level skews those numbers too much in a game that already skews numbers in your favor. I just don't think they need that much raw power up front, and then it never changes unless their charisma score goes up, you know? And your charisma score doesn't go up very often. So it's probably going to be, by raw, it'd be like a +4 at 7th level. And it would stay +4 until maybe 8th level. By then, maybe by 8th level, you'd probably have a 20 charisma, and now it's a +5 for the rest of your character's career. There's no real scaling there. It's just basically everyone has shield spell on permanently whenever they're nearby you for their saving throws. It's just, I think it's too much power. It should scale. It should scale up over time. +2 at 7th level and ending at +5 at 17th level. Personal opinion. You can fight me over it on the Discord if you want. But that's just my personal philosophy. So I offered that as a variant rule for those that agree with me. People can leave the upfront +5 bonus if they want, but I just think for the better healthy game, have it curve up +2 at 7th level and then ending at +5 at 17th level is a better way to go. So, but you know, people are welcome to disagree with me, but that's the way that I approach my design philosophies. So let's see what we're looking at. We don't want a battlefield that's 500 feet in size. It's just way too big. So I think I'm going to drop these out of the way, and I'm going to pick up my art pen. And let's see. How wide of a battlefield are we looking at here? Because this might just be the solution. This is the grid that I typically use when I'm designing zones of dungeons for the Mega Dungeon campaign that we've been running to playtest the martial power system. We're currently 7th level in the Mega Dungeon, and so there'll be there'll be entry points like there'll be a whoa, hey there, buddy. There'll be like a door over here. There'll be another access point over here, and then this would lead off to another block of dungeon, right? So this is generally a good size that I like to work in. I don't know how many squares wide it is though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. It's 34 squares by 5 is 170 feet. So this is a 170 foot width, and it's probably like 220 feet tall or something like that. Hey, what's up? Yeah, it probably should be plus proficiency bonus divided by 2, round up. The way that I word it is the maximum spell level you've gained as a paladin is the bonus that you get. And at 7th level, you have 2nd level spells, so it's a +2. And at 17th level, it's a +5. At 17th level, you'll probably have a +5 charisma bonus, and it's not going to be higher than that until 20th level. At 17th level, you also have access to 5th level spells. So they end up the same, it's just how fast do you get there. So by doing a spell level, it encourages your character to stay paladin if you want to ramp that saving throw bonus over time. I do the same thing with innate sorcery. It starts off with a +1 bonus at 1st level, and by 17th level, it ends up being a +5 bonus to your saving throws, to your saving throw DCs when you're throwing spells at people. It just scales up over time to move along with the different tiers of power, 1, 5, 9, 13, 17. But, you know, that's my stance. Let's take this. So I think this is too big. If characters typically move 30 feet, we want to have we want the goals to be more than 1 round of movement away from each other. But we don't necessarily like 1 round of movement and then attacking the goal, or trying to score a goal. That feels about right, but maybe it would be 2. So if we had 6, if you have a normal movement speed of 30 feet, so you'd have 30 feet, and then you have 30 feet. That's 1 round of just movement getting closer, and then you'd have another 30 feet, and then you'd have like say a 20-foot range to throw the things. That'd be like 120 feet. So maybe 120 feet is the appropriate distance, because that'd be 2 full rounds of normal movement, and then you'd have climbing and then action to actually score the point. So maybe that's the proper way to do that. So let's give that a go to see if that makes sense. I'm going to drop this into a reference file here and put a lock on that. I'm just going to keep picking at this stuff. So looking at, because there's so little rules that are actually defined for how Mage Tower works. And like they don't even like the actual Curriculum of Chaos book doesn't even bother going into how is your character supposed to climb 40 feet up to the top of the tower to score a point. It literally just skips it. Just narrate it any way that you want. If your team likes to narrate it, you can. But it's just 3 ability checks, and whichever accumulates the most tallies the highest result amongst all of them. When you add them together, that's who wins the match, and that just feels undercooked. 5, 10. So we got 5. Let's start. Let's have a 15-foot platform, and then have the center point be the actual goal. Like this is where the mascot actually has to end up at, and this is something that like you'd have to climb. maybe like that, or maybe it's here, or maybe it's two-tiered. Like that. So it'd be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. Let's call that half court. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. And then here's end goal. So I don't know if this is the proper size. This is just what my gut's telling me right now. We're going to play test this. Hopefully this is fun and people on the server want to play test this, because if it ends up being cool, we'll find like is this a little bit too long? Is this the optimal size? We'll be able to suss all that stuff out. So it's 120 feet, 125, 30, 104, 135, 140. So that's 140. We need an extra 5 feet someplace, I guess. No, I mean, we technically don't. But this would be 5 feet, 10 feet, 15 feet worth of climb. Hey, what's up? Hey, Steve. It's good to see you. More violence. Yeah, well, you know. It would have a limit. It would have a limit on movement speed, because some classes will have advantage just because of the movement. But that's just going to be a perk that you have. But we also have powers in the if your character doesn't naturally have speed boosts, we can lean into. There's so many things. Like you could pick up Zephyr Strike. You could pick up Long Strider. You could use Haste, Blink. There's a lot of spells that exist in the game that already lets you hype up your movement speed if you decided that you want to cast that spell to enhance your character. And then for the sustained powers that you can put on the martial characters, Cliff Runner, which is you gain a climb speed equal to your speed, and you don't need to use your hands while doing so. So like these ramps, this tower, like this pyramid effect here, it would literally not slow your character down at all. And then we also have Fast, which is while sustaining this power, your walking speed increases by your max power rank multiplied by 10. So a first level character would have plus 10, a 17th level character would have plus 50 feet. So as you get higher levels, higher level athletes are going to be able to cross the field more quickly. It's going to collapse the time frame before you get into struggling and conflict. And I think that's what we want to do. So I figure at the start of the match, the mascot starts in the goal. And then you take the mascot. So there's two mascots. Each team has a mascot. I like the idea of there only being a single mascot. That there's like a tip off at the center of the at the center of the arena, and then basically whoever wins initiative wins the tip off and has control of the ball. I like that idea, but with the two mascots, your team basically starts at your pyramid or at your tower, and then you move forward to engage the enemy. We want to look at how wide of a battlefield do we want to have here. So I'm thinking, maybe 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. Yeah, probably 120 by 120 isn't a bad idea. Well, I'd have an extra 5 feet because of center point. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. So we're looking at roughly like this for a smaller scale arena. We also want to look at can we throw the mascot to land on the goal, or do we have to physically take and place them there, like touchdowns, or scoring a point, like in I think in rugby, you actually have to cross a line with it instead of just kicking it over. I think you actually have to like physically walk it to the goal. I can see merit in both of them. By having to physically walk it, it would reduce the amount of ways that you can score a point, and it gets characters in each other's space a lot more. So let's start. Let's start off the narrative with having to physically carry your mascot to the enemy goal, from your tower to the enemy tower's goal. I was originally thinking about like having it be something like you could throw the mascot like a weapon, and then making an attack roll against the team's goal. So like I could potentially like be here and throw the thing to try to score a point from here. But if we actually make it melee based specifically, then you have to actually physically walk from here to the enemy tower. Then blocking people's approach and movement would help. We also have things like extended reach. You can increase your melee weapon reach by 5 feet per point of mana sustained this way, and you can channel the moving target reaction power by expending 1 mana. This would, let's see, hold on. Let's look at moving target. Yeah, we bumped moving target to 2 mana, so we're going to have to change that. Moving target as a reaction to when a creature you can see moves into or within the reach of your melee weapon, you can make a weapon attack, even if the target is using the disengage action, rolling 1 power die per mana channel, adding the highest result to the attack roll. And we can combine that as a reaction to attack a creature that's moving through your area. We can do something like topple as a mastery, or grappling strike. Your weapon damage increases, and you can grapple a creature one size larger than you with that weapon. You can't use that weapon to attack something else. So you could get a creature, if you have moving target active on your character and grappling strike, we could use damage not to hurt each other. The damage wouldn't actually hurt each other, but it would, like if you like use interpose or warding bond or deflection, or like the monk's deflect attack ability, how much damage you deal with the attack matters. Although we're not actually damaging each other in the sport, the damage can represent how much force is put behind movement or climbing the tower, scoring a goal. That's kind of where I was thinking about going with, like being able to throw the ball to score a point. Where if I, like, for example, if I were to use repositioning strike, your weapon damage increases. The ball itself becomes your weapon, right? And the ball deals 1 point of damage plus whatever you stack on top of it for your strength, your dexterity, ramping it up with martial power abilities or spell effects. That damage scale would be like if you have a monk defender that's trying to be a goalie, the monk can deflect like what, D10 plus your level of monk. So if I'm going to do 30 points of damage because I dumped a bunch of mana into this throw, the monk won't have enough ability to deflect that attack. You could still potentially score a goal, but you could use other deflection powers to try to protect your goal. Like for example, defense barrier. It's 3 mana, so it's a 9th level ability. It's expensive, but as a reaction to a source you can see targeting you with an attack, you create a momentary 2-dimensional opaque barrier made of force, occupying your space and granting you full cover against the attack, causing it to automatically miss unless it ignores full cover. The barrier is immobile, doesn't prevent movement, and disappears at the beginning of your next turn. So if I were to be a goalie in front of the goal and you try to throw the ball through the hoop, if I erect then a defense barrier as a reaction, it's going to hit the barrier and you're not going to score a point. Now you have to close distance to be able to physically put the mascot through the hoop to score the point. Let's go with can melee treat the mascot as a thrown weapon. So you have to give it a range. So let's say, what, 20 feet, 40 feet? How does that feel? Here's our goal. 5, 10, 15, 20. So you have to be right here, right outside the range of the tower, right off the pyramid to be able to actually score. And that'd be 5 feet up, 10 feet up, 15 feet up. So yeah, this would be a 20-foot throw. But we could do a, say, 60 feet, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. Half court would be your max range with disadvantage. But once you throw it, it's not yours anymore. And if you're using your action to anticipate an attack, because once you throw that ball, it's out of your hands. You either score a goal, or if your enemy team is anticipating it and it's set up a means of interposing, blocking, deflecting, or like putting themselves in harm's way instead like the interpose, like for example the interpose feat. Protection. It's a feat. It's a fighting style. When a creature you can see attacks a target other than you that is within 5 feet of you, including your goal, you can take a reaction to interpose your shield if you're holding one. You impose disadvantage on the triggering attack roll and all other attack rolls against the target until the start of your next turn if you remain within 5 feet of the target. Okay, that one's not so awesome. But let's look at... let's see. Go back to protection. And let's look at fighting style. Protection. Interception. Thank you. When a creature you can see hits another creature within 5 feet of you with an attack roll, you can take a reaction to reduce the damage dealt by the target plus 1d10 to the target by 1d10 plus your proficiency bonus. You must be holding a shield or a simple or martial weapon to use this reaction. So in the martial powers system, your unarmed attacks are treated as simple weapons. So they would actually be able to count to be able to put a hand up and block it for 1d10 plus your proficiency bonus. So if I'm attacking, the ball only deals 1 point of damage unless I can ramp it. If I've got a 20 strength, it's going to do 6 points of damage. So I've got a decent chance using interception of being able to deflect that goal away. The monk is better at it. It has D20, it's like D10 plus your level of monk plus your dexterity modifier, I believe. So a monk can very easily intercept and deflect stuff. So, oh good, I'm caught up. So I like that idea. I think I was just talking about not using thrown attacks, but I really think that we want to do that. What about 40 feet? How does that sit? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. There we go. So let's put in 5, 10, 15, 20. 5, 10, 15, 5, 10, 15, 20. 5, 10, 15, 20. So if you're inside this area, and then 25, 30, 35, 40. This would be disadvantage range. In throw. This would be, I guess this would be your throw. Yeah, this would be your normal throw. This would be disadvantaged throw. And this is half court. Not that it particularly matters. It just is. 10, 20 off. So inside this area, you're at disadvantage to attack the goal with a ranged attack. Here you're a normal attack roll, and then physically in melee, if you're holding the ball, all you have to do is basically pass. You have to enter this space. So if you're going for melee, for a melee reach, you could let's say, what's the range of Misty Step? Misty Step. Teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space that you can see. Unoccupied space that you can see. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Here's where you'd have to be able to cast Misty Step. And this is going to be 5, 10, 15 feet up. You'd be able to see the goal. Okay. So let's see. Let's keep interpreting this. Let's merge down. So instead of scoring a goal physically by passing through a space, the goal has to be something that you hit. You touch the mascot too. So, and you can't occupy the space that the goal is in. So you'd have to Misty Step to like a location here. And then you would have to physically, with an action, you would have to touch the mascot to the goal. And that would be how you would score your point. So if there's an enemy that's here and you T-port in and you try to touch, if you're within reach, the goalie could attempt to deflect your attack roll. So it's always going to be an attack roll, not movement based. That's actually really important because Misty Step is going to allow you to close distance quickly, but you'll still have to take an action to be able to attack with. So you're going to have to start your turn inside this range to be able to Misty Step to this point to actually be able to then use your action to hit, because your bonus action is going to get eaten by the teleport spell. If somebody's expecting you to Misty Step, they could have, say, a counter spell set up that prevents you from being able to cast the spell. Or they could have, like, Anchor active that prevents you from being able to move at all, including teleportations. Or countering strike. Let's look at that real quick. Now let's go to reactions. And we'll go to Ride Revival, Curse, Anchor, Countering Attack. It's second level. As a reaction to when a creature within range of your weapon attack uses the magic action, makes a weapon attack, uses the magic action, makes a within range of your weapon, uses the magic action, or I should specify, or casts a spell, because you can do so as a bonus action. That's important. Make a weapon attack. If it hits, the target takes damage and must make a Constitution saving throw against your channeling DC or half the damage dealt, whichever is greater. If the save fails, the action is disrupted as though affected by counterspell. So if you have countering attack, which you can get access to as early as 5th level, it's 2 mana to pop it, but you can reduce the cost. There are ways to reduce the cost, so it's easier to use. But somebody's attempting to use teleport, they're within reach of you. They're going to have to use either a magic action or, say, cast a spell, either way, to be able to do that teleportation effect. If you're anticipating that and they're within reach of your melee attack, you'll hit them. If you hit them, you don't actually deal damage because it's a sport. But the amount of damage that you deal is important because that will help measure what their saving throw will be. So if I dump a bunch of mana into ramping my damage and do like 40 points of damage to you, then your Constitution saving throw is going to be DC 20, and if you don't hit that Constitution save 20, your Misty Step doesn't work. You've wasted your bonus action. You have the ball. What do you want to do next? So I think I like that. Can treat the mascot as a, let's see, PvP. Take mascot from your tower to enemy tower. Hit the flag to score a point. Can treat the mascot as a thrown weapon, 20-40 range. So far so good. Let's see. Damage. Spells, attacks, and abilities, etc. that deal don't deal damage to targets, but is used to determine how powerful the action is to overcome, for things such as disrupting concentration, blocking attacks made on the goal, disarming, etc. You can steal the ball from your enemy, and while you have possession of the ball, the enemy team can't score points. So now we want to be able to disarm and sleight of hand steal a ball away from people. So ball can be stolen from enemy team, can steal your mascot to prevent you from scoring points. Ball in possession, mascot in possession, mascot in possession can be disarmed or sleight of hand stolen to regain control. I like that. More rules. Mascot. Let's see. The mascot, your mascot, is treated as a thrown object, dealing 1 point of damage with range of 20-40. Mascot is also treated as an ally for abilities, spells, and powers that can target allies. Your mascot, enemy mascot, is also, mascots are treated as thrown objects. Dealing 1 point of damage. Your mascot is also treated as an ally for abilities, spells, and powers that can target allies. Enemy mascot is also treated as an enemy for abilities, spells, and powers that can target enemies. Mascots are treated as indestructible objects that can't take damage and are considered to be thrown weapons dealing 1 point of damage with a range of 20 to 40 feet. I think that works. Let's see. Let's go with no weapons are allowed to be no weapons can be used during a match, but shields and you are considered to be wielding a shield for purposes of feats, powers, and options that require having a shield. That's a little muddy right now, but that's what we're figuring out. Just basic ideas, like for that, like that interception ability. Was that what it's called? Intercept, interpose, whatever. Like you have to be wielding a shield. Well, for the sake of the sport, you're considered to be wielding a shield to be able to benefit from shield stuff. Are treated as objects that are immune to all damage types and can't take damage. How are we doing? Do we have 20 minutes left? We're almost out of time. All right, so here's the start of it. Let's add another 5 feet. So we have that same bandwidth, that 20 foot, 20 foot, 20 foot. 60, so 60 feet away, 40 feet away, 20 feet away. Range of 20, 40. I know realistically you'd be able to throw things a lot further than that. I accept that. We're just creating rules to a game. So cheers. This would be difficult terrain. So 5 feet, 10 feet, 15 feet, and as difficult terrain, it takes 30 feet to climb it unless you have a move speed. It's difficult terrain, climb. So if you have a climb speed, it's only 15 feet. If you don't, it's considered 30 feet, but you don't have to make a check to climb. No check to climb, just half speed if you don't have a climb speed. So far, I mean, this is obviously different from how they. I mean, it's roughly the same, but we're trying to modify it because they obviously didn't want to put this much thought into how would you conduct a PvP sport in Strixhaven Curriculum of Chaos. They just made it a 3-step ability check test, right? So they really hand waved the logistics behind, you know, how is a martial character, how is anybody supposed to get 40 feet in the air? What happens if they fall off and they die? You know, stuff like that. It's so I want to remove those risks from the game because it just sounds hostile. 5 feet up, 10 feet up, 15 feet up. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Geez, I mean, that's almost enough just to get started. Oh yeah, we need to set the terms. Condition. We'll finish up the conditions and then I'll gotta bounce for the day. But we'll be back Thursday night to continue working on this. So no weapons can be used during the match. Let's go with. Let's see. There's three periods. Each game is broken into 3 periods. Gain a short rest between each period. Long rest at the end of a game. And let's see. We don't want to have a necessarily a set duration. Do we want to? Yeah, I think having like a set duration is going to end up potentially slowing the game down. For the sake of players at a table actually playing the game, I feel like the best way to do this would be to have like after like a period ends after like say whoever gets 3 points first ends that period, and whoever wins 2 out of 3 periods wins the. Let's do that. Whoever wins, whichever a period ends when a team scores 3 points first. A game ends when a team wins 2 periods. How about that? That's a simple. So if you're absolutely dominating the enemy, scoring 3 points before the enemy team in the first period and 3 points before the enemy team in the second period, there is no third period because you just absolutely shut them out. But if one team wins the first period and the other team wins the second period, then there's a third period to break the tie. I feel like that's a way to be able to make this thing fast. It could potentially be 3 rounds of combat. Because once you throw the ball, it's out of your hands. If you run up to the goal and attempt to use melee to score your goal, now people are going to be attempting to like use the push mastery to shove you away. or use disarm to take the mascot from you. Mascot's going to be tiny size, so let's specify that. Mascots are treated as tiny objects. A period ends when a team scores 3 points first. The game ends when a team wins 2 periods first. Mascots start in their ally goals. Have to get your have to hit enemy goal with your mascot. A mascot if an athlete's turn, if an athlete ends mascots have how do I want to word this? If a mascot is not in possession, if a mascot is not in possession at the end of the current turn, it takes the dash action in a random direction. Roll 1d8. As a compass. Roll 1d8 for direction. So if I disarm you, like for example, if I were to use disarming strike, let's go to the strike powers and let's look at disarming strike. Your weapon deals extra damage equal to 1 power die per mana expended, and the target must make a strength saving throw with disadvantage against your channeling DC, adding the result of the highest power die rolled to the DC, or the target drops one item of your choice that it is holding. The object lands at a location you choose within 10 feet of the target per mana expended this way, targeting an item held in 2 or more hands. Roll with disadvantage. So roll with disadvantage against your DC. So if I hit you, if you're here and you're making your way towards the enemy goal, and I hit you with disarming strike, I put 2 points of mana into it because we're 7th level right now, and I then you fail your saving throw, so I end up throwing it 5, 10, 15. I could throw it 20 feet away, so the mascot lands here. And then the turn ends because I disarmed you, say with like a reaction, as you tried to, like, as a moving target, like Sentinel. You tried to move through my area of effect. I hit you with an opportunity attack. As part of that opportunity attack, I spend mana to use disarming strike. You fail your save. It's during your turn, so now I've flicked the ball 20 feet in another direction. You have until the end of your turn to get to the ball, otherwise it's loose and independent. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and randomly roll which direction. I rolled a 2. So in this instance, it's going to run this direction. And we'll say if you hit the boundary of the battlefield, you can't go out of bounds. You just hit the end of the boundary, and that's where it stops. That's probably an easy way to do it. Let's get all these things in alignment here. Yeah, that feels easy to do. So in that instance, the ball would end its turn here. So whoever wants the ball has to go get it. Whoever's turn is, and we'll take turns. I guess we would take. I guess we would roll initiative. So everyone on the battlefield would roll initiative, and whenever your initiative count is, that's when you're set up. You could potentially like throw the ball to your ally, and they'll automatically catch if they're able. I guess if they're able to do so. Like, would you need to have a reaction available to catch a ball that gets thrown? Let's do. Let's see. Allies can pass the mascot within normal range. So you have to be within 20 feet to do it. Allies can pass the mascot within normal range of as an attack or bonus action. The receiving ally must expend. I must use a reaction to catch the mascot. Otherwise, it is missed. Landing within 10 feet, 1d8 for direction. Let's use that. So if you want to pass the ball to your ally, they have to actually have a reaction open to be able to catch it. So now you have to think about, am I going to use my reaction to prevent my enemies from progressing with their mascot? Or am I going to use or are we setting up a play amongst our team to be able to advance the ball forward and bounce it between each other to get to somebody who's not covered, who would then have a potential clear shot, either thrown or a clear move, to be able to get to the top of the Mage Tower. I think that makes sense. And I'm pretty much out of time for now. So that's where we're going to leave this for now. The beginnings of this playtest document. Here, let me grab this real quick here for you guys. I feel like this could be fun. Highly, like everything, all my stuff is like super experimental, so we have no idea if it's going to end up being fun or not. But this is the general idea that we're playing with right now. So we'll find out. We'll put together. We'll get some characters built. We'll build some athletes. Right now, I'm planning on using this in case, like, if we don't have enough people to run a mega dungeon playtest, we can instead switch, pick up some athletes, and then play some matches of Mage Tower and see if that's fun. It's still an opportunity for us to interact with the mechanics, mixing spell casting and martial powers together to be able to create these effects, and we'll see if there's anything that jumps out as broken towards this. Like Dimension Door would be able to get you from one goal to the next, but you're stunned until the end of your next turn. You're stunned for the rest of the round. So even though you step through the gate, you can't actually do anything because your character is stunned. So that's no use. You have to use an attack action or an attack to hit the goal. You'll automatically hit, but then we would have you'd still make an attack roll and deal damage for purposes of deflecting or deflecting the attack or interposing, blocking it, etc. So that's where we're at for now. So I'm going to go ahead and just leave this be. We're going to be back on Thursday night to continue this more, to see if we have things built. Maybe we can start building some characters for NPC athletes, for characters to compete against. We can start pouring through the game to build like a sorcerer paladin, for instance, could be loaded up with defensive capabilities, from the power list on the paladin side, and a bunch of spell abilities to block or whatever, create strategies like on the sorcerer's side, and see like what meta magics we could take for the sorcerer to like use cantrips to do shit, and then manipulate those like to push people around and stuff like that. Like I don't know, we'll figure it out. But I think we might be able to find some cool creative metas inside of this, and considering the breadth of options that are created with the martial power mechanics, there's a lot of, I think we can create some really, really cool athletes and some really cool strategies. And if this ends up being super cool, maybe we could do live streams of a match where we have a DM as the commentator and the referee, basically keeping tabs on what's going on in the game, and then having PvP matches where people are competing against each other to score points. We can do PvE where the DM is controlling the enemy team and all the players are on the same team trying to score points that way. I think there's potential here. So if you think this shit's cool, drop a comment, join the Discord server, and raise your hand that you're interested in messing around with Mage Tower this way. And I'm in the Strixhaven Discord community. I'm on the Dice Try Discord community. You guys can find me there. Of course, I have my own Discord community that's linked down below. Check out my books while you're at, if you think this stuff is cool. And we'll be publishing all this stuff on DMsGuild eventually when we get there. So a lot of work. There's a lot of stuff on the way, but we're going to be building all this stuff here on stream. We do artwork in the mornings, and then we do game design like this in the afternoons and evenings. So like and subscribe, stick around, ask questions, and I'll see you guys Thursday night. So see you then.